Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's all about Michael Bublé and his decision to host the Juno Awards this year.
Oh, cool.
And it's especially interesting, given all this talk about like
Yeah. Yeah.
Canada and the U.S. not exactly seeing eye to eye these days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a thing.
So we've got some articles here kind of talking about like how he's approaching all this.
Yeah.
Like how is he handling this idea of national pride when things are
Right.
kind of tense?
Yeah.
So
like, how do you celebrate being Canadian when
exactly
there's all this other stuff going on?
And what do the Junos even mean at a time like this, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually.
Yeah. So
I mean, just from like reading some of his comments, it seems like Bublé's not really like directly addressing the tensions. You know what I mean?
right.
It's more like he's letting his actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Like he's hosting the Junos
He is. Yeah.
for the third time,
That's right.
which is pretty significant when you think about it.
Absolutely.
And he even he mentioned, not wanting to add to the energy of a troll.
Right.
Like that's such a
That's very much.
It's very current.
Very now.
Yeah, very now.
Yeah, and you can see that even though he's not, like you said, directly addressing things,
Right.
you can totally see how much Canadian sovereignty means to him.
Oh, yeah.
He says it means everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's like this underlying message of, let's focus on the good stuff.
Right.
Let's focus on what's great about being Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not just saying that, he's actually putting it in action.
Right.
Like he's hosting again.
Yeah.
Because he loves Canada.
He loves Canada. He wants to support,
right,
the Canadian music scene, the Canadian artists.
Yeah, he wants to support Canadian artists, and he's done it before.
Exactly.
Hosted twice before.
Yeah, he's not a stranger to this.
Well, this is his third time. And he's even talked about like seeing Canadian flags on suitcases and stuff.
Yeah, it's like that quiet pride, It's not like this in your face kind of thing.
Right.
It's just like that,
Just like there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how Alan Reed,
Oh, yeah.
who's the CEO of the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences,
Right.
how he sees the Junos.
Yeah.
He was saying that he sees them as like helping artists define what it means to be Canadian.
It's like they contribute to that identity,
Right.
Like, what does it mean to be a Canadian artist?
Exactly.
And the Junos are a part of that.
Yeah, and he also pointed out that like the timing of this,
Yeah.
with all the, the stuff going on internationally,
Right, with all the tension.
gives it like a new importance.
Yeah, a whole new meaning.
Right.
Like, what did the Junos mean in this current climate?
Right. And it really makes you think about how
Absolutely.
these kind of cultural events
Right.
reflect what's happening in a country.
Yeah, like how are they
Especially.
a reflection of the national mood?
Exactly. Especially when things are kind of messy,
Exactly. Yeah, it's a good point.
And Bublé himself, he's really emphasized that he sees his job as a singer
Yeah.
as like a way to brighten people's lives.
Yeah.
And he's even said that he knows Canadians are feeling stressed.
Right.
So it seems like he's really trying to bring people together.
Yeah. Through music, through celebration.
Right, through celebration rather than getting into,
Right, like he's not making a political statement.
Exactly.
He's trying to make people feel good.
Right. And it's really interesting that he's choosing to do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when there's a lot of tension,
Right.
you see these cultural figures, they use their platform
To make a statement. Yeah.
to speak out,
Yeah.
But he's going a different route.
He's choosing to uplift.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it really says something about him.
Yeah.
And maybe even about like the Canadian way, you know?
Right. How Canadians approach these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And another thing that seems to be a big part of this for him is inclusivity.
Oh, yeah?
Like he specifically requested that the Junos be inclusive
Right.
because he sees that as like a core part of Canadian identity.
Right. Like that's what it means to be Canadian.
Exactly.
To be welcoming and inclusive.
Right.
And you can see that like in action.
Oh, absolutely.
With the new Juno Award for South Asian music.
Right. That's a perfect example.
Which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
So, going back to what we were talking about earlier about how he wants to show this positive side of Canada.
Right.
The inclusivity thing is like a perfect example of that.
Totally.
It's all tied together.
Yeah, all fit.
And speaking of celebrating Canadian music, we've got some pretty big names being honored at the Junos this year.
Right, some big milestones.
So some 41.
Oh, wow.
They're being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Like huge for Canadian music.
Yeah, and then Anne Murray.
Oh, wow.
She's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's amazing.
So these are like...
the legends.
Yeah, they're like killers of Canadian music.
Right, they've shaped the scene.
Yeah, and it really shows how the Junos are about, celebrating Canadian music.
Yeah, across different genres, across different generations.
Right, from way back when to now.
Yeah, it's a whole history of Canadian music.
And Alan Reed even said that Bublé's like more than a typical host.
Right, he's really involved.
Like he's actually involved in producing the show.
Yeah, he's invested.
Which shows how much this means to him.
Right, he's not just showing up, he's making this happen.
Yeah, so it really seems like Michael Bublé is using this platform to show off Canadian pride.
Absolutely.
And he's doing it through celebration.
Right.
Unity.
Yeah.
Inclusivity.
It's a positive message.
Right. And he's doing it especially now.
Right.
When things are kind of tense internationally.
Right. Yeah, in this context, it's even more meaningful.
And the Junos themselves.
Yeah.
They're like this platform for celebrating and defining Canadian culture.
Right, like what does it mean to be Canadian?
Exactly.
The Junos are part of that conversation.
Yeah, so it's all pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
About how these cultural events are like expressions of national identity.
Yeah.
Especially, when things are politically complicated.
Right.
Like how do they reflect who we are as a nation?
Yeah, and how do artists contribute to that?
Exactly.
Like how do they help shape our sense of ourselves?
Yeah, it's something to think about, for sure.
It really is.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
I did too.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.